Hello, my name is Jason JROCK Houston. You guys are listening to an interview being done for Under Influence. It's my great pleasure once again to be talking to my great friend Vince Thrill, who most of you know is the lead singer of a great Motley Crue tribute band, Public Enemy #1, which is based out of Phoenix, Arizona. Now, of course, Vince, the reason we're talking tonight is you recently announced that Public Enemy #1 has come to an end, at least for now, and I was wanting to talk to you about it. If you could share with us how you came to the decision, or what brought to the demise of the band?
Yeah, actually, our last show was in Idaho. We came back from Idaho, and we were working with a couple of gentlemen out of a couple different on the Midwest. And one was playing the Nicky part, one was playing the Tommy part. And when we got back to Phoenix, the band wasn't really that tight anymore, and so it kind of fell apart a little bit, and at that point I decided to change directions in my music path. Yeah,
and another thing I wanted to kind of discuss was when we talked about 2 months ago the last time, you had announced that you were just getting ready to launch another tribute project, the Bret Michaels Experience, and I understand you've decided to kind of put that on hold as well. So could you share with us why you decided to put that on hold for now?
Yeah, actually, the drummer for the Bret Michaels Experience was the bass player for Public Enemy #1, and then when that band actually disbanded, he said he really didn't want to do the Bret Michaels Experience anymore. And at that point, I was kind of venturing over into doing some original music. It's been a while since I'd done it, and I was really missing that. So I was approached by a couple of people about doing some original stuff, and so I decided that's the direction that I wanted to take, and so that's where I am now.
Okay, and now, of course, you've been doing the Motley Crue tribute for several years now, and I was reading in preparation for tonight's interview, you listed somewhere on your Facebook page that I guess prior to Public Enemy #1, you had another Motley Crue tribute called Decade of Decadence. Now, I was curious, that obviously predated Public Enemy #1, but I was curious, when that band came to an end, did you change the name just because members changed, or why did you decide to change the name from Decade of Decadence to Public Enemy #1?
That's actually a really funny story. I actually started Decade of Decadence about 7 years ago, and then the drummer that was in that band at that time, he and I weren't getting along and stuff like that, and so I had hired another guitarist, and the guitarist and I became pretty good friends, and then the drummer and I weren't getting along, and I said, something's got to change here, and so either he goes or I'm done with this, and so while I was at work, the guitarist at that time decided that the page that I built, the Facebook page that I built, worked hard to get bands for, he deleted me off of, and
wow.
took over the page.
Wow, amazing. Now, you seem like a pretty loyal guy, Vince, as far as, being pretty loyal to your bandmates. I know you don't like really trashing anybody, which I kind of admire. Now, my curiosity here is, I mean, you could have also went the route of just getting new members for Public Enemy #1, but is it more of a point of, this is a project I had with these guys, I'd rather do something else now than just try to replace everybody?
That's a great question, JROCK, and it's something I would probably come back to maybe later on. Right now, I'm really focusing totally on original music. I've talked to several different, well-known artists, and they're like, "Hey, man, this is really what you should do. You really like doing that."
Yeah.
And people are craving that same sound that we used to have, and there's not a whole lot of bands that bring that anymore. And so when I sat down and started writing again, I realized how much I really missed it. Now, that's not to say that I'll never bring back Public Enemy.
Yeah.
It's a definite possibility, even the Bret Michaels Experience. But for now, my focus and my concentration is purely on creating original music again, and trying to give the people that sound that we all miss. The 80s had some great guitar riffs and some great sounds and screams, and that sound that we all miss. And so I want to try and do that again. And if it doesn't work, maybe I'll go back to starting the P #1 back up again, or the Brett Michaels experience. But for now, my main focus is on creative.
Well, Vince, I believe everything. There's a time and place for everything, and everything happens for a reason. When we talked the last time, we did the interview about 2 months ago. But funny thing is, you were also talking to me during that interview a little bit about wanting to at that time maybe get in and record some original music with the Public Enemy #1 band at the time, but you're telling me that it would be original music, but it would sound like Motley Crue. Now, with what you're doing now, moving forward, doing this original music, I was curious, would the music kind of still sound like that, or would you want to be a little more freer, where you can just go in there and write any type of music, not having that expectation that that it has to sound like Motley Crue?
Yeah, that's another great question. I'm actually working with a music composer. His name is Bobby Hoyle, and he's out of North Carolina. And he and I have been working together, creating some stuff. He's laid down quite a few tracks, and I'm putting the vocals too, and I've written all the lyrics too. So I'm going to be doing some recording actually this weekend.
Cool.
I'll be recording a song called "Stay Through the Night," and it kind of gives you the vibe of, it's kind of weird, but it kind of gives you the vibe of the Saints of LA album. So when you hear it, you're going to go, damn, it seems like this song would have maybe came off the Saints of Los Angeles.
Wow.
And so I've let a couple people hear it, and they're like, Jesus Christ, man, it sounds just like some Motley Crue produced, off the Saints of LA. And so, it's kind of hard to get away from that. I mean, I've been singing the Crue stuff, as you know, for 10 years now. And so, with the type of vocals that I sing, everything that I've ever sang kind of comes out like Vince Neil. So, I'm kind of stuck with that, I guess. Like I told you before, I'm not sure if it's a curse or a blessing, but, it is what it is. So I think people will be really surprised when they hear this and might even mistake it for something Motley Crue produced.
Yeah. Now let me ask you. Of course, at this stage, you're just kind of writing the material and going in there and recording these songs as you write them. But is there any plan at this point? Like, are we talking? Do you want this to be a Vince Thrill solo album, or you plan on forming a band where maybe kind of like a Motley Crue type, where you have 4 individual guys that are involved with the writing, or is it all going to be like more of a solo project surrounding around you?
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a band project. Actually, we're talking about putting some together early next year.
Cool.
And I actually got, it's kind of funny you said that too, because a major artist reached out to me today and asked if I would be interested in working with them next year on producing another album or putting something together. And this band is actually a punk band that Motley Crue inspired.
Wow.
Got their inspiration from that was in the 70s. So this band is very well known, and the guy that reached out to me is really cool too. So kind of reached out to me and said, what are you doing next year? And I said, I have no plans right now. He said, well, I want you to get in touch with me. We want to record something with you. And I said, all right, cool. Let's do that. So
again, you're just at the stage where you're writing material and recording these songs, but do you think, is the idea to have a band name real soon, or do you think you'll come up with a band name once you got all the players and play and the stuff is pretty much recorded?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're going to do first. Actually, we're hoping to create an EP by Christmas time. We're hoping to get a little 6-song EP out by Christmas time. And then, starting off in the new year is going to be when I really start pushing forward on putting this whole band together, and hopefully be playing with some other major, national signed acts from the 80s. So I'd like to open up for some of those bands. And I've met a lot of those guys, Randy Rand and Steve Lynch and those guys, and Mark Whelan, so from Autograph. Those guys are really great guys.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because I've seen photos of you. I guess you recently attended an Autograph concert or something, and I seen that you're friends with some of the guys. Now, did you just become friends with them recently, or have you known these guys for a couple years now?
No, actually, Randy Rand was the first one I became friends with, and that happened at NAMM last year.
Oh, how cool is that?
The North American Musical Conference in California, and we met over there at a private party, and kind of chatted there for a while and kept in touch and everything like that. So when he came back here to Arizona this past weekend, he introduced me to Steve Lynch and Mark Whelan and stuff. So those guys are really cool, man. I'm really looking forward to maybe putting something together with them next year, when they come on tour, maybe opening it up for them with my band. So.
Oh, how cool would that be? I mean, they've been away for a while, and now they're just, kind of getting back together. But Steve Lynch himself is a great songwriter. I mean, besides Autograph, I know he's written a lot of stuff for TV the last couple of years. Would you ever consider writing with any of those guys, for this project or maybe for something else that they're involved with?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Simon Daniels is their current singer, and man, he's phenomenal, too. He and I talked for a little while, and he's a very cool guy, and so they're really solid. Autograph sounds really good. I think they've risen up from the grave, man, and their stuff has sound really good. They put out a few new songs, and man, they're really humming now. But yeah, I mean, if they wanted to put something together and write together, that'd be great. But I think they're pretty locked and secure with Simon right now, and Simon's a great guy that I don't think is going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, they sound really good with him, and everything's working out solid. I can always accept tips from Steve and those guys. I'd definitely be open for that. But right now, I think they're pretty busy with this tour that they're on. And
so now, Vince, share with me now. You said you got this one guy that you've been writing with. Now, is he necessarily going to be part of a band, or is he just your songwriting partner?
Yeah, for right now, he's just a songwriting partner. The distance is what hinders anything putting together a band with him. Not to say that would ever happen, because it could possibly happen. It depends on how big this thing blows up next year. But it could very well happen. But as of right now, we're just co-writing together. And
now, of course, you've got a nice little fan base for yourself with Public Enemy #1 fans, and I'm sure a lot of the people, when you announce this new project, finally have a name. Those are a lot of the people that are going to be coming to the shows initially. But how, what does that mean to you? I mean, how important is it to know that a lot of the people that will be checking out your original music are these people that came to see you with the Motley Crue tribute?
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different. People are really excited. I mean, I kind of put it out there, and people, the fans that follow, P1 and follow me, they were really excited that, I'm doing some original stuff, and they said they can't wait to hear it. And hopefully I won't let them down, From what I've heard so far, I think it's fantastic. And I think since Motley is retiring at the end of this year, I don't foresee them putting out anything new.
Yeah.
So this will be new and refreshing, something that you're going to hear, if you're a Motley Crue fan, you're definitely going to like what we're putting out. This little 6-song EP that we're going to be putting out by the end of the year, people are really going to, I think they're really going to dig it, because they're going to go, damn, why did Motley Crue do this, know? And I don't know which way they're going to take it. Some might hate it and go, the guy's trying to copy Motley Crue, and it's really not that. It's just that, my vocals are so close to Vince's that, when I sing, that's how it comes out. So, like I said before, don't know which way they'll take it, but, curse or blessing, we'll see what happens when we finally decide to release that.
And how long has it been since you've done an original, your own original music? I mean, this has got to be a really, exciting time for you, I would think. I mean, it's great that you're a Motley Crue fan and been part of a tribute scene for all these years, but to finally get a chance to get out there and and be playing your own original music, that's got to be a great feeling.
Oh, it's a wonderful feeling. I've always sat down and wrote stuff for myself and really not focused, on the Motley Crue stuff, and it's kind of just been my own stuff. And prior to the Motley Crue thing, I was doing, some other covers, some 80s covers, and then before that I was doing country and southern rock stuff. So it's definitely a change. I've always liked writing, and I've always liked doing original stuff. It's just that when you start these kinds of projects, you don't have a real good fan base on doing original stuff, and so you got to build that up. Fortunately for me, I've been doing the cover stuff and the Motley stuff for so long. I built, like you said before, I built a pretty good fan base and a lot of followers, and so I'm hoping when they hear this that they're going to like it, and they're going to go, you know what? This isn't exactly Motley, but it sounds so much like 80s music, not only just Motley, but Autograph and Kiss, and whoever, these 80s bands that they've heard, they'll be like, damn, this is what we've been missing. So I'm hoping that's going to happen. We'll see. Yeah,
because again, I mean, it could go either way, but the way I see it going, I mean, I see, you like me are always on Facebook, and I go on your page every so often just to keep up to date with what you're doing, and that's how I found out about that the Public Enemy #1 band was coming to an end for now, and that you're doing your own original music. And you're very positive with all your fans, and people have nothing but positive things say about you, which I think is, you know, a testament to, you know, you not just as a musician, but as a person. I mean, you're very positive, and you don't go in there trashing anybody. And I think what's going to happen with your project here is a lot of the people that came to see Public Enemy #1, they're gonna want to check out what you're doing now. They're gonna want to, okay, we seen this guy, you know, singing, you know, portraying Vince Neil and singing Motley Crue songs all these years. We want to see, you know, what else he could do. And I kind of think that's the vibe that's going to be going forward with this.
Yeah, I surely hope so, JROCK. And the thing too is, you know, before when I was doing the Public Enemy stuff, I always wanted, like I think I told you before, I wanted to kind of slip in a couple originals.
Yeah.
Just to kind of throw people off and go, wow, I'd never heard that song before, and not knowing that it's an original that we actually wrote. But the rest of the guys in the band, I'm kind of, you know, it didn't have that same inspiration or the, you know, that goal as I did to want to do that, and so that really never came to fruition, and like I wished it would have.
Yeah.
But now I've gotten that chance to work. I mean, Bobby Hoyle is a phenomenal composer, and you know, the things that he's sent me so far are just amazing, and I really think this stuff is going to do really well. But there's a lot more in store, you know.
And how did you find him? How did you find him? Just through Facebook or the internet?
Yeah, I actually found him through Facebook. He is his I believe it's his uncle, his brother, I'm sorry, is Van Austin Hoyle, and he kind of introduced him, sent him my way, and he's like, hey, he's looking to do original music, man, you should really hook up with him. So Bobby got a hold of me and said, hey, I've got a lot of original tracks, and this stuff is like, you know, 5-10 years old, it's been around for a while. It's never been, you know, there's never been any lyrics written for it or any vocals done to it. I want to send it over to you and see what you think. And when I first heard it, when I first opened up the very first file, and I heard it, I said, Jesus Christ, man, did you know that you wrote something off the Saints of LA? He's like, yeah, it kind of does sound like that, doesn't it? I go, yeah, it's really weird that I heard that right when I, you know, started playing it. So I sat down that day and started writing all the lyrics for it, and 20 minutes later, I had all the lyrics written for one of those songs. So.
Yeah, and of course, when you have a songwriting partner like that, you know, it helps you to kind of you know, develop a sound, or, you know, feel a particular sound or feel. Now, any chance that you'll be reaching out to other people to write with, or do you think, you know, once you have all the members of a band in place, that you'll, you know, see what they're able to contribute?
Yeah, actually, I did meet a guy here in Phoenix that I'm going to be working with also, and his name is Noel, and he is working with me. Actually, we're going to get together this Thursday, and we're going to sit down, and he's got some material he wants to show me and get my input on and stuff like that. And that's probably going to be the guitarist that I will create this band with next year. That's going to be my first guitarist. So he and I are going to just, you know, butt our heads together and see what we come up with by the first of the year, and you know, at that point, try and put a decent band together and get out there and start doing some shows again.
Well, and now I imagine, you know, another big part of this would be the look and the image. I mean, of course, you got to develop your sound and your songwriting style, being that this is a new band. But you know, when you're doing Public Enemy #1, you know, one of the most key things about that band was getting down the Motley Crue look. Like you told me, like, for example, you know, we had clothes that looked like, you know, from 1985, from the Theater of Pain era, from, you know, going back to Too Fast for Love, you know, 1981 or whatever. And anybody go on your Facebook can see that. But the cool thing with doing an original project like this is you don't have to, you know, have a Motley Crue look necessarily. You can have, you know, your own original Vince Thrill look going, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
And that's the thing that this band will be doing. You know, everybody's their own independent person. I still kind of like, you know, I still kind of look like an '80s guy no matter what I do. So I'm kind of stuck in that generation, I guess. So, but yeah, I still have lots of stage costumes that, you know, like our '80s stuff. That's really not Motley Crue, but it's just, you know, the way I dress. So,
yeah. I mean,
that'll definitely be some of those, you know.
I mean, that's what I always dug about, you know, bands like Motley Crue and I mean, you know, Guns N' Roses. And then I mean, I remember the first time I seen a photo of Nikki Sixx. I mean, man, I mean, that's you know, not every rock star looks like that. But I mean, that guy was so over the top. You know, I just had to go, you know, buy his album and check out the music. I mean, the look was as important as the sound, if you know what I mean, Vince.
Absolutely. You know, it's kind of funny you said that, JROCK, because when I went to the autograph Skid Row and Great White show this past weekend, people were like, "Hey, weren't you just up on stage?" I'm like, "No, that wasn't me." They're like, "Gosh dang, man, you look like you should have already been up there." Yeah, it's kind of, that's my look, I guess. But yeah, you know, and when I took pictures with Skid Row, people were like, "Jesus Christ, man, you look like you fit right in with these guys." So
yeah. I mean, it's really amazing. We were talking about it last time, and even when I interviewed your former guitar player from Public Enemy, Mick, he was telling me, he goes, "I'll never forget the first time I talked to Vince on the phone. Man, I thought he was the real Vince Neil. I thought somebody was pulling the wool over my eyes. But it's amazing just how just your talking voice sounds so much like him."
That's funny. Yeah, it's funny because I've done it with other people too. I talked to them on the phone, and they're like, "Yeah, you sound a lot like this." And I'm like, "Really? You think so?" They're like, "Yeah, dude, man, you totally sound like him." I'm like, I guess it's a curse then."
Yeah. So I imagine a lot of this stuff, as the songs are written and the band starts coming together, that you'll start announcing this on your Facebook page and that. But once you have a name and stuff, I imagine you also have a band page as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I said, that stuff will probably that will probably start taking place in December sometime as the preparation, and then releasing as of maybe January 1 is the goal date. I was talking to Noel, and he's looking forward to getting something started as soon as the first of the year. So me too, man. I just want to get back out there and start rocking again, and be able to put some kick-ass original music and have people go, "Jesus Christ, man, that's very cool." But I told you guys too, man. When I come back out and do these shows again, hey, we can even do a couple of Motley tunes.
Mm-hmm.
People want to hear that stuff again. I would be happy to do like Dead or something like that, and it'd be fun just to relive a couple of those songs again. So.
Yeah, and how weird is it going to be, when you go out there performing your original material, for the first time in years, I mean, not having to, get dressed up in like the Theater of Pain gear. You're just going to have a little more freedom to dress however you feel like.
Oh yeah, well you see what Nicky does these days, man. His makeup changes, every show because he just does whatever he wants, and that's the freedom of expression that we all want to have, And it sure beats having to know that I don't have to look exactly like Shout, I don't have to look like Theater, I don't have to look like Too Fast. So it's kind of cool to be able to just go, you know what, I'm gonna wear these leather pants with this ton-up shirt, and do my hair a different way or whatever, and I don't have to worry about it. It's my own freedom of expression, and I think that's what we do not only with our attire, but with our music too. What do I want to do? I can do anything I want to do. It's mine.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it too, like I said, all these years you've had the look of Motley Crue going in the sound, where with an original band like this, I mean, people are going to finally see, the 100% of what Vince Thrill is all about, and it's going to be more than just, obviously, more than just you, but
copycat.
Yeah. People are going to say, "Oh, this guy, he's really got the pipes. He's really capable of writing, original music." And I'm really, excited to see what you come up with myself.
Well, thank you, Jay. I appreciate it too, man. I'm totally looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. Like I said, I get to work with some really cool people, and I've gotten a lot of really good feedback from from major acts that are giving me the green light, saying, "Man, do this. We want to hear what it sounds like. We know you can sing. We've seen that, but show us what you can do, personally." And so I love challenges. And for me, it's like, all right, yeah, that sounds like a challenge to me. Let's get this thing done.
And what's been the hardest part about, moving forward with this project? I mean, right now you're kind of the main guy, but I mean, it seems like you're taking a little more time to find the play, right players. I mean, you said you got one your lead guitar player. He's pretty much in place now. As far as finding the other members of the band, is it just a matter of reaching out to people or would you rather work with people that you've never worked with before?
I kind of am looking to work with people I've never worked with before, and the reason for that is you get to experience new ideas and new thoughts and new input and see what's going on and see what other people's thought processes are. A few people have reached out to me that I know that are good friends with me and saying, "Hey, you know what? Let's do this thing. Let's put it together." But for me, I like meeting a lot of new musicians, and and really kind of being a little bit picky, I guess, on this original project, because I want it the way I want it to be, and I don't, I'm not saying that I have to have, the best guitarist, the best drummer, best bass player, but these are not only do we have to gel as musicians, but we have to gel as a band and friends, because you guys work so close together that you got to be open to ideas and be open to someone saying, hey, let's change this up, and not somebody getting pissed off and going, okay, then I quit. I don't want to do it that way, So you got to be open for suggestions and original material, otherwise it's never going to work.
Yeah, and the thing right now is, being that you're the main guy right now, as far as the guy that's getting the band formed and stuff, and like I said, a lot of initial people will be people would know of you through Public Enemy #1, and that may be a huge portion of a fan base initially, but you got to kind of be that way, Vince, because again, this is your project, and this is kind of the Vince Thrill show going on forward. If you know what I mean, the name, you're going to kind of stamp your name all over this project. So you want to be proud of the product you deliver.
Absolutely, you nailed it right on the head when you just said that. It's like, I'm putting my name out there for this project, and if anybody gets any backlash from it, it's going to be me. You know what I mean? Because I'm saying, okay, this is going to be a great project. If it's a flop, then guess who's in the limelight? Yeah. Well, that's me. So that's why I think I'm being a little bit picky as far as the people that I want to put this project together with. And like I said, I found the guitarist already, great songwriter, and so he and I are going to be working closely together. And again, Bobby Hoyle from North Carolina. I wish he lived here in Arizona with me, but he doesn't. So in the meantime, we're just going to put some, we're going to put this EP together, put that out, so we can kind of get a feel for what's going on, and let people know this is what you're going to hear. So
And so right now, this is kind of a recording project, but especially with your partner that you have in place right now, living in North Carolina, so far away. Any chance that you guys will be doing live shows once the music comes out?
That's a very good possibility. Like I told him, I'd like to get some things going. This band will definitely have 2 guitarists in it, and a drummer and, of course, bass player. So it's going to be a 5-piece. Unlike Motley Crue, which was a 4-piece. Yeah. I like the fullness and sound of 2 guitarists.
Yeah.
It opens up a lot of doors and windows, for one guy playing lead and another one playing rhythm, and the other one playing lead and the other one playing rhythm. So be able to switch off back and forth. And I think some of the best bands I've ever heard always had 2 guitarists too, because they have a really good full sound. Mick Mars was an exception to that rule. Motley Crue always sounded big, no matter what. But Mick Mars knows how to make that happen.
Yeah, and one of my other favorite bands from the '80s, of course, Rat. I always loved the way Robin and Warren would kind of play off of each other.
Absolutely, yeah. They had a really big full sound. Robin and Warren, man, they got together and it filled the whole room. But if you don't have one of those guys, it does sound kind of empty. So
yeah. Well, that's all we say about that. But anyways, so you got the EP that you said maybe 4 or 6 songs, and then you're gonna kind of wait and see what kind of response you get. And I imagine we'll get a full length down the line, right?
Absolutely. Definitely next year there'll be a full-length LP put out. So, and I expect that probably mid-year, sometime like that, mid-year to later in the year after the band has worked together for a little while.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of this is still kind of in the planning stages, but I would think too, this could be a type of project where you being the main guy, Vince, that you could even, just for purposes of live shows, have like a different touring band or whatever if it came to that. But would you rather have like the same players that are on the record do live shows with you?
I thought about both of those scenarios, and if I get a chance to do some touring and my current band members for some reason cannot do that, I'd definitely be open to the possibility of another, fronting another entire band. And two, the Motley Crue thing, if somebody needs me to fill in at some point, I'm not going to turn that down. As long as it's, it makes sense to do it. To just do a show here or there to fill in for another, event somewhere, I would probably do that. I'm not going to just say, I'm never going to do that again, because I would be lying if I did. But if the right opportunity presented itself and somebody said, hey, we need to fill in, I've done that before, as you know, I would definitely do that. And I love doing Motley Crue. It's one of my favorite things that I've ever done. And so if somebody said, hey, we need a fill-in singer for the night or for the couple of shows, yeah, I'd do that,
And it's kind of funny that Public Enemy #1. I guess you could say your farewell show kind of you guys are going out the same year as Motley Crue, at least for now. When you did that last show, did you do that last show knowing that was going to be your last show, or what was that show like for you, or even if you didn't, now that you played that last show, what's that like for you? That might be a while till you actually get up on stage and do those Motley Crue tunes again.
It was a bit different. On the way home, I kind of had the feeling that that Public Enemy was going to disband. I really did. There were things going on within the band that just led to that moment. I kind of knew the 1,400-mile trip on the way back home that something was going to happen. And at that time, I kind of accepted it. It's been 7 long years doing the Motley Crue tributes, and I kind of knew that on the way back home. But I don't know. It was a little bit of a different feeling. It was to be honest with you, JROCK, it was a little bit of a relief off my shoulders.
Yeah. And I was curious because again, these are guys that we don't have to get really into too much dirt, but these are guys you played with for 7 years. So, like when you played that last show, was this the decision that was made based, mostly on your part, or was everybody kind of in agreement? I think it's time to stop this at least for now.
Yeah, well, there was some things that were said between everybody,
and
it kind of led up to that moment. But the cool thing about it was, the last place that we played was DB's in Idaho, and that was one of our very best shows that we've ever done was at DB's. So to kind of finish it up there, it was kind of like Motley Crue playing the whiskey for the last time, And I had that feeling. It was like, you know what? I almost felt like that was the very last show for PE1. And when it was over, it was a really solid feel. It wasn't like the last time we played there. It was still excitement was in the air. There was a lot of cool things going on. I felt really different after that show was over, and I think it was because I knew at that point that may be the last show for Public Enemy #1.
Wow. And another thing that just popped in my mind as we're talking here, Vince, is I'm sure there's a couple other Motley Crue tributes, especially out there in Arizona where you're from, but it'd be kind of interesting now that it's been announced that Public Enemy #1 is going away at least for a while, so you can do your own original project. But I'd be kind of interested to see if there's not another Motley Crue tribute that forms on the ashes of Public Enemy #1, just kind of take your guys' place, what I mean, and it'd be kind of interesting to see who that is.
Well, it's really strange is my former guitarist, Mick, he got with our bass player and they picked up a drummer, and I think they're trying to put a Motley Crue tribute together. They've been trying for a while now. I guess they can't find a singer, but they were trying to do another Motley Crue tribute, but I don't think that's ever come to fruition after I left. So.
And if that was to ever come to fruition, do you think you'd ever go, check it out just to see? Okay, I'd like to see what they're doing and who they're doing it with.
Absolutely, man. I'd totally do that. I mean, it ended on a little bit of a bad note, but you know what? Mick he's always been like a brother to me, man. I still love him like a brother. It's just things didn't work out, and I wish the best for him. We've been friends for a long time, and I hope he does make this Motley Crue thing work, and I hope he finds who he's looking for. But as far as anything ever happened, us getting back together, it's kind of like the Rat ordeal, man. It's going to happen.
Well, it's good you have that attitude at least. Like, okay, these are guys that I especially Mick, like I played with for 7 years, and ended how it ended, but really no bad blood. I'm happy to hear that. At least like you said, you'd be willing to go. Last time I talked to him, he was also talking with me about he was thinking at the time about forming like a Cinderella tribute. I was saying that would be a totally cool thing. I could see him doing.
Yeah, and I don't think that ever came to fruition either. I know he's been wanting to do that for a couple of years now, and just kind of trying to find the right players for that and getting it ready. It's really tough, man. And unless you have your whole entire heart into it, it's a lot lot of work, man, and that's one reason I'm kind of glad I'm not doing the Motley Crue trivia anymore. Because I was in hell, man. I was running the show. I was doing most of the booking, and I was trying to keep the band going and everything like that. And it was just so much work. And I think that was the biggest relief off my shoulders. I got rid of my second job now.
Yeah, and so Vince, moving forward with this project, once you get enough, tunes to release, do you think you'll be putting out like a physical CD? Will it initially just be released digitally? Have you given any thought to that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be just digitally. This little EP is probably just going to be digitally done, and then maybe trying to get it on Spotify or something like that, get it released out there somehow. But as of next year, it will definitely be put on a CD, and then we'll have it at shows and stuff like that. So our original music will be put on a CD, and it will be available at shows. I've already, it's kind of funny, I've already had people requesting that, as soon as this thing's done, can you please send me a CD? I'll buy it, I'll pay for it, I don't care what it costs. One,
Well, hey, that's a testament to your fan base and your talent, because a lot of fans don't even want to pay for music, period, especially by professional bands, and it's kind of sad because people don't realize that this is your job, this is what you do for a living, or a big part of it, I guess, and you should get paid just like anybody else for doing your job.
Yeah, and like I said, these people are, the fans that follow me and follow, my pages, stuff like that. They're like, as soon as the CD gets done, I definitely want a copy, and whatever you have to charge me, because I just want a copy. I want to make sure I get one, and I'm like, all right, that sounds cool, man. I'll make sure I get you one. So.
Yeah, and how cool is that now? So I imagine, being that this is original music too, that you're going to have to get your own, publishing company set up in that if you don't already have it in place.
Yeah, definitely, and that's one of the things that I'm currently looking at doing is I'm friends with a couple of people that have publishing companies, so I'll probably go with one of their labels or something like that, and it's an independent label, and do that, and kind of just try and put it out like that from now, and then maybe next year if things go really well, then we'll look at something a little bit bigger or better.
Yeah, and I was curious, as far as once you release that physical CD, I guess initially would you try to, is a plan to release it yourself, or would you like to kind of send it out and kind of test the water and see what kind of feedback you get from different labels?
Yeah, I definitely will. Well, I'm going to actually. I'm gonna push it out as much as I can by myself, without having get it to a label. But in the meantime, I'm gonna send it out, and I'm gonna have some friends who know people in places, and it was funny. A recording engineer came up to me at the autograph show and asked me if I would come to California and record with him next year.
Wow!
Too. So so that's something I'm totally looking forward to. And he said he'd definitely. His cousin actually works for Sony Music Management, so he said come out here and record with me, and I'll give it over to my cousin, and we'll see what we can get done. So
wow! Well, that's pretty exciting. And again, like I said at the top of the interview. I'm a guy who believes that everything happens for a reason. I mean, even 2 months ago when we last talked, I mean, there was no talk of Public Enemy #1 coming to an end. But look what's happened in the last 2 months, and even probably like you, Vince, when you first announced this on Facebook, I was just kind of amazed to see the kind of positive feedback you got. People telling you like. Oh yeah, Vince. You should give it a shot. Do whatever do whatever your heart tells you to do, and we're behind you 100%. I mean, that's just got to be such a great great feeling. I mean, there is a little bit of a safety net, a little bit of security in doing the Public Enemy #1 thing, because you've been doing it for 7 years. You built up the fan base. You're kind of starting over from scratch, but that makes it that much more exciting. Like you said, if it is successful.
Yep. Yeah, I agree, and these people that follow my page are so awesome, and the encouragement that they provide me really gives me that much more motivation to want to go out and get this thing done, and so I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm the kind of person that if I'm going to do something, I put 110% into it and full steam ahead, and if it bursts, it bursts. If it goes nowhere, at least I can say I tried. But the people that do follow my page, the encouragement that they gave me really gave me that extra motivation that says, you can do it. My wife, she said the same thing. I know anything you put your mind to, you get it done. You're that kind of go-getter person. And so, a lot of people believing in me, including yourself, and I do appreciate, every bit of that I get.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's part of what I do with these interviews. I try to get to know the bands and the players involved, and I try to create, like, at least on my part, like as much of a family environment. We'll try, whereas hey, you got something else going besides this tribute band? Let me know, and we'll help you guys spread the word. That's kind of the mentality I got, on my part at least, I just love, because again, initially, Vince, I got into doing these interviews because I've been to a lot of these tribute shows. I think I told you before, and I really just enjoy it immensely. Because part of it is the look and the sound. It kind of takes me back to when I was a teenager and stuff, and tribute bands have the power to do that, and so I look at it as like rock and roll theater. And then on the flip side, I've encountered people that have a attitude. Guys that play in tribute bands, they're failed musicians. They couldn't do it, making their own, original thing. Which you're at least here trying to prove. I guess you're going to prove otherwise. But my point being that a lot of people, I realize a lot of people don't realize all the hard work that goes into putting on a tribute show like what you were doing with Public Enemy #1.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said before, it took me like 2.5, 3 hours to get ready for a show, which I'm not going to miss that part. But I think as far as the stage show that we actually did and the things that we did, it's still going to be prevalent in the new band. That's not going to go. That's not something that's going to go away. The stage show that you enjoy and you've seen that we did as a tribute band will be amped by 2 times. So it's going to be bigger and better, and people are going to go, this is what I remember rock and roll being like, and it's gonna be a fun show. I mean, if they had fun at the Public Enemy #1 shows, Jesus Christ, man, they're gonna really have a good time here too. So it's not the show itself isn't gonna change. It's gonna have the same thing that same vibe and stuff you would have felt at a Public Enemy show or even an '80s show from the '80s. So, all the adrenaline rush that you're going to get from that kind of show is still going to be there with the new band.
Yeah, and now I kind of think I know the answer here, but I'm going to ask anyways. So once you get the band, intact, and you guys go out there and try to do some shows, are there any rules in your mind as far as now that we're doing the original thing, we can't play with tribute bands, or are you willing to kind of get out there and play with whoever?
Yeah, I don't care, man. I just like to play music. We played with death metal bands before, and we play. I'll play with it. Any band. I don't care. I'll play with a mariachi band. I don't care. As long as they're playing some rock and roll, who cares? As long as everybody's having a good time and we're all, we're having fun. Man, that's what matters. I don't care what kind of bands we play with.
And then
cover or original.
I mean, it makes it that much more exciting. Now, you were mentioning earlier, but you would like to have 2 guitar players in the band. Any chance that you might be playing any of the guitar in addition to singing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll be definitely playing rhythm on some of these songs. I'm not a lead player by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, I definitely play some lead guitar, and I'll definitely be playing on some of these songs. But I'm a very, very mobile frontman, and so I don't like being strapped down to a microphone, and a microphone stand. So when you're playing guitar, that's what you get a lot of times. And so there'll be a few songs that I'm sure I'll be playing some rhythm parts on, but for the most part, I will not be doing that. So
you kind of do like a John Corabi in the sense that you won't be out there on stage with your guitar strapped on you for the whole show, but you might come out for maybe 3 or 4 songs and do your thing.
That's exactly right. That's exactly how it would go.
And do you have any kind of direction? Like you said, okay, 80s style, I guess, kind of like hard rock and metal, but I imagine you'd have the freedom maybe do like an acoustic song, maybe even a ballad or 2. I imagine doing your own original music, it's got to be a lot more free reign to kind of do what you want.
Oh, absolutely. The first song that we're actually doing, Stay Through the Night, is actually a ballad.
Wow.
So, and then the other one is called Black Widow, and that's a hard rock and driving kind of bastard song. So, it's like the very first song that we're putting out is actually a ballad, and it's called Stay Through the Night, and the other one's called Black Widow. And if you hear Black Widow, you'd be like, Jesus, man, this is like bastard. This is like something off of Too Fast.
Yeah. Well, I really won't be surprised. if we hear about influence for a simple fact that, you were doing Public Enemy for 7 years at least, you told me, and then, the last time we talked, we really were talking in detail about the fact that Too Fast for Love was your all-time favorite Motley album. So, that being the case, I'm sure some of that influence has got to creep in there.
It actually has, and without even me knowing it, and when I sang it, I was like, man, it sounds something like some Too Fast for some reason, and it's just, I don't know, that I guess, and my co-writer, when he wrote it, he wasn't even thinking Motley Crue, but when he wrote it and he sent it over to me, I'm like, geez, man, did you write this off too fast or something?
Yeah.
It sounds exactly like some off that album.
Wow.
Like, no, I didn't even think about that. That wasn't even the influence that I had going for that. Yeah. But now that you say it, and now that you've sung it, I can kind of see that now. So
yeah, and it's I got to ask you. This may sound like a strange question, but fact that you've been doing the Motley Crue tribute for all these years, I was curious, in writing these new tunes and getting them recorded. Have you had any difficulty trying to develop your own sound, if you know what I mean, as opposed to, or is it just kind of come out how it comes out? Are you consciously trying not to sound like Vince Neil, or you know what I mean?
Well, if I did that, I wouldn't be truthful with myself.
Yeah.
So I let it just flow. How it comes out, vocally and singing wise, is the way it's going to come out. I'm not going to falsify anything. I'm not going to change anything, because you get yourself in trouble if you do that. Just stay true to yourself. Who you are is who you are, and you can sound like anybody. If I sound like Harabi, then I'd sound like Harabi, but I can't vocally change my
voice.
Theme,
Yeah.
Do something else. I don't want to be fake.
I love hearing that. Stay true to who you are. I've even heard guys like Paul Stanley say, hey, I wear my influences proudly on my sleeve. That's what it's all about. Is just going out there and being who you are. Because even doing the tribute thing, Vince, I imagine you're paying tribute to Vince Neil, Motley Crue, but there is still a small part of you in what you're doing. Because that's the music that influenced you. That's what you grew up on, and it's kind of like you were the guy in the audience, and you jumped up on stage, and you're playing the songs now. So this is your version of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and, I've sang easy songs before. I've sang Metallica songs. They all sound like Motley. Vince Neil singing from Motley Crue.
Yeah.
That's funny, but it's just the way I sing, and I guess because we both have the same kind of vocal tone, it kind of comes out the same way. And I guess after doing that, after singing like him for 7 years, it kind of just, I guess my body or whatever, my vocal style kind of adapted to that. I don't know. It's really weird.
And so, right now, have you pretty much, I would imagine, be primarily recording some of the guitar parts and the vocals primarily, and once you get the other players in part, will they kind of record their parts separately, or will you all go in a room together and record, like a live band?
Yeah, the tracks are already written. Bobby wrote all the tracks already. The tracks are done. I've got the tracks. I'm going to go into the recording studio this weekend and just lay the vocal tracks over the top of it and then get it mixed and mastered. But as far as the song is created, the musical part of the song is done. They're all done now.
Oh, cool, man. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing this, Vince, and I just want to really, encourage you to move forward with this and really encourage you with the fact that once you have something in your hands that you think you're ready to post, just to kind of put out there as a little teaser to your fans, kind of give us a taste of what's to come next year. I think that'll be so cool, and I just imagine people are going to really start to get behind this project, and hopefully we'll have a name for it soon.
Yeah, absolutely, we definitely will, and like I said, I'm going in to record this weekend, and it takes probably a week or two to get it all mixed and mastered. And then once that's ready to release, it should be a couple of weeks, and I'll have the first one out, and I'll post it. And I'll definitely let everybody know that it's out now. Check it out. So. Well,
Vince, I just want to thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this tonight. It really, you've got me more excited than you can even imagine. Just waiting to hear what you come up with as far as this original music. But I've really enjoyed talking about it, and I can't wait to hear it. So I just want to thank you for doing this tonight, and let you know that I'll be in touch. Let you know once the interview gets posted in a couple weeks. But once you have something to draw, please let me know, and I will really do everything I can to help you promote it and get the word out.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Hey, man, I appreciate everything you've done for me, man. And ever since you first met me, you've always been there for me. So, just so you know, between me and you, buddy, man, you're like one of my best friends. So I appreciate everything you've done for me so far, and everything you do, not just for me, but for everybody, man. You're there, promoting everybody, and that's a lot of work. And just so you know, from the bottom of my heart, man, I truly appreciate that.
Well, it works both ways, because like I've told you before, and I'll tell you again. I don't get paid, like a lot of what you do. I don't necessarily get paid for what I do, but I do it out of a love of music, and I'm not here to tap myself on the back, but I like you're saying, Vince, especially with you and guys like you, I've developed great friendships, and I've gotten other things out of it. Even somebody saying, come down to the show, check out our next show, and it's a great way to have fun on the weekends and go check out these bands. I mean, like I said, I look at it as rock and roll theater, and I've really enjoyed the bands I've gone to see, and so I'm doing what I can to get out there and support the music I love.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate that. And hey, if you get a chance, man, I think you would really enjoy doing an interview with Bobby Hoyle, the composer that's composed all this music.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. You could either send him my contact info, or you could send me his, and I'll get in touch. However you want to do that. Just you could do that through Facebook, or I think you got my email. But yeah, I'd be willing to do that, because one thing that I've always felt, Vince, is be it a tribute band, original act. I believe like every member of a band, or even a songwriter, brings something to the table. You know what I mean? They kind of bring their influence into the picture, and so I always love talking to different guys, in the same band, because each guy's got a unique story to tell.
Oh yeah. This guy, Bobby is very, very talented, man. And when you hear these songs, you're going to be like, Jesus, man, I could have swore I just heard that song on the radio. Yeah. So he's very talented. He actually does all the guitars, both lead, rhythm. He does the drum tracks and the bass tracks. So wow. He is a one-man band, literally, and put all these tracks together. And then I'm just writing the lyrics and doing the vocals. So
have you guys actually been in the room together, or because you said one guy, I think it's a guitar player, lives in North Carolina, but do you and the songwriter, do you guys live relatively close to each other?
Not Bobby lives in North Carolina, but the other songwriter that I'm working with in Arizona, we actually only live 4 miles from each other.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, Vince, you know what? If we could work on getting that set up, I'd really be up for that. In fact, it might allow me enough time to interview, your songwriting partner, and we could possibly get the interviews up around the same time. That would be great.
That'd be cool, man. Yeah, I'll definitely, after we get off this call, I'll send you over his information right away, and you can reach out to him.
Okay, Vince. So you have a great rest of the evening, and thanks so much for doing this. And I promise I'll be in touch with you again real soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you, JROCK. I appreciate it, brother. Have a great night. It was really great talking to you again.
Okay, and best of luck on the new band. I can't wait to hear what you come up with. Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.